Just close down the eyes as we prepare for the practice of yoga, where you're given the very blissful, beautiful, rejuvenating opportunity to tune out the external world and start to draw your awareness inwards. We'll use the body as a tool to cultivate that sense of mindfulness. So you can feel the downward pull of gravity on the full weight of the body. If you tend to hold tightness in your lower back or in the spine, just feel the spine releasing towards the earth, the natural curves of the spine. You can start with the weight of your head on the earth, feel the neck muscles relaxing. Allow the backs of the shoulders to release. Feel the mid portion of the spine grounding down. Feel the back ribs moving against the mat as you inhale. And bring your awareness to the lower back, soften and relax that area, and all of the muscles around the length of the spine. So the paraspinal muscles do a lot of work just keeping the torso upright during the course of the day. So you can visualize starting to relax those muscles. And then, of course, the hips attaching to the spine, the pelvic girdle, you can begin to relax the muscles around the hips, around the pelvis, the upper thighs. Soften and relax the knees and the shins. Bending the knees just brings a little bit more space in through the lower back. So that's a nice position to take at the beginning of the class, or even in Shavasana if you find that it's beneficial. Hands can be in any comfortable position. If you know that you tend to breathe in the upper portion of your chest, it's nice to take the hands onto the belly and feel the rise of the belly beneath your hands as you inhale. And feel the weight of your hands drawing the belly towards the spine as you breathe out. Bypass the upper portion of the chest if you can on inhalation. So drawing the breath again downwards into the lower belly. Then feel the rib cage widening out to the sides and the collarbones widening. Exhale, the collarbones soften in towards the midline. The rib cage knits in together. The belly draws towards the earth. Breathe in for a count of 4. And breathe out for a count of 6 at the beginning of the class to really tune into that calm nervous system. So in the practice, we're looking to synchronize breath with movement, but it's not efficient to breathe 4-second inhale, 4-second exhale as you move throughout the course of your day, and not even necessarily through every posture in the yoga practice. But if you can find that place where you're entering into a more challenging pose, then tune into a deeper breath. You'll find that you can stay there a little bit longer. So bring the arms down alongside of the body, walk the heels in towards your hips. Look down towards the feet so you can lift the head up. Look at your feet, align the outer edges of the feet with the outer sides of the mat, and then actively, consciously press your feet into the floor. They will likely want to shift position just as soon as you move your gaze away. So it does require some awareness to plant the feet down. Root down through the heels, the inner edges of the feet, and soften the grip of your toes. Now slide the tailbone in the direction of the heels. Scoop your tailbone under and press the low back into the mat. right away coming into this core connection. So the belly draws down towards the spine, low back presses downwards into the floor, and we'll come into bridge pose with that focus on maintaining a plank-like position with your back. So press the fingertips into the floor, the feet haven't moved. Then fingertips up towards the backs of the shoulders, breathe in. Exhale, feel the low back grounding. Take another inhale. Exhale, lift from your outer hips so that the back stays flat and you're lifting the hips up into bridge pose. Notice if the knees want to drop in towards each other, you're strengthening the muscles of the outer hips by drawing the knees back towards alignment with the ankles. Drag the heels in the direction of the shoulders to lift your hips up a little bit higher, engaging the hamstring muscles along the backs of the legs. Lift the chin away from the chest. Feel the weight of your head on the mat. Pause and breathe. So you should not be feeling any compression or pinching in your lower back here if you're appropriately working the muscles of your glutes, especially the buttocks muscles. But your outer hips lift up. Keep sliding the tailbone forward. Keep feeling the navel drop back towards the spine. So we'll take an inhale here. Exhale, hover your hips above the mat without any wobbling from side to side. Pause. Feel the mounds of the big toes rooting down. Feel the groundedness of your heels. Slide the tailbone forward, plank-like position with the spine. Breathe in. Then exhale, push into your feet and lift the hips up. Pause. So again, it's not about how high you lift. We're not looking to do some miraculous back bend. Instead, looking to strengthen the muscles of the hips. Inhale. Little to no wobbling. Exhale, lowering the hips down. Keep your knees aligned over the ankles. Hips hover above the mat. The lower that you are, the more challenging that it is. Pause here. If you're not already starting to feel this in the glutes, then it's very likely that you're not quite practicing with proper alignment, or at least proper alignment in terms of what we're focusing on tonight. So another inhale. Push into the feet. Exhale, lift your hips up. Squeeze your bottom. Lift the hips up a little bit higher. Again, it's the outer hips that are lifting up so that the belly is not pressing up towards the sky, but dropping down towards the earth. Take an inhale. Exhale, lower the hips to hover so we're almost there. Nice and low. Inhale here. Exhale, press into the feet, lift the hips up from the outer hips. So a sense of really pulling the sitting bones, the tailbone forward, but the buttocks muscles up towards the ceiling. They tend to want to hang down towards the floor. Now let's take 5 little focused pulses. 5, lifting from the outer hips and squeezing your glutes. 4, 3, 2, lift and hold. Knees stay aligned over the ankles, chin moving away from the chest, weight of your head on the mat. Soften the muscles of the face. And slowly curl down 1 vertebra at a time. Walk your feet forward, straighten out the legs. Walk them over towards the right side of your mat. Stretch the arms up overhead with your right hand. Take your left wrist and hinge to the right. Rotate your left palm to face the ceiling. Soften the outer left shoulder down. Soften your low back towards the mat. So if you're a person who tends to press the rib cage up towards the ceiling, your work here will be to keep the front side of the body engaged, the back line of the body lengthening out. And inhale, come back to center. Walk your feet over to the left. Hinge left. With your left hand, take the right hand, rotate the palm of the hand to the sky. Lower hand tugs gently on the upper one. Soften the low back towards the mat, front ribs down towards the earth, and breathe into your right rib cage. And come back to center. Bring the right knee into your chest, interlace the hands around the right leg, and squeeze the right thigh in towards the torso, like you want the thigh to press into the chest. Now bring your awareness to the left foot, press forward with the mound of the left big toe. That's where the big toe connects with the sole of the foot. And then root down through your left heel and attempt to drag the foot towards the outer side of the mat. See if you can feel the outer hip muscles engaged. So the foot's not really going to move. You want to fix the heel into the floor and the sticky mat holds it in place, but you can attempt to drag the foot a little bit to the left. Then inhale, shoulders away from the ears. Exhale, draw the right leg in closer. If you're feeling tension in your left toes, relax them. Now draw the knee a little bit closer to the right shoulder so that hip will come into greater flexion. You're squeezing the right thigh in a little bit more towards the rib cage now. Knee towards the shoulder, left inner edge of the foot pressing forward. Then bring the knee out over towards center. Keep your outer right hip drawing down towards the mat, so you might feel a stretch in through the outer right hip muscles. Attempt to drag that left heel towards the outer left side of the mat without doing so because you're fixing the heel in place. And stretch your right arm out to the side. You could hook the toes to the inner side of the left leg. Use your left hand, come into a spinal twist on the left, but don't let the left toes rotate to the left. Keep them pointing up towards the ceiling, and then notice how much tension is in the toes. Try to relax them a little bit and focus more on left heel fixed and dragging towards the outer left side of the mat. Press forward with the mound of the left big toe. So these are really focused cues, of course. If you just find that that's too much for your brain to kind of focus on, then you just move into the spinal twist, hold and breathe. Come back to center, press into your right foot, shift your hips to the left, bring the left knee into the chest, interlace your hands around the left leg and straighten your right leg out. So if the hip flexors are really tight, you might already feel a stretch top of the right thigh in through the hip flexors there. Inhale the shoulders away from the ears. Exhale, draw the left thigh in closer. Then take your awareness mound of the big toe on the right side. Slide the right heel forward so you've got a nice straight leg there. Internally rotate the thigh by pressing the inner edge of the foot forward. Fix your heel into the mat and attempt to drag it to the right. See if you can feel those deep glute muscles on the outer right side start to contract. Shoulders away from the ears, inhale. Exhale, draw the thigh in closer. Now take your knee a little bit more to the left, more in the direction of your left shoulder. So the hip comes into deeper flexion. Bring your awareness back to that right foot, inner edge pressing forward, heel fixed, and attempt to drag it to the right. Then we'll come back, bringing the knee through center, but keep your outer left hip drawing to the left. Inner right foot sliding forward. And right into a spinal twist on the right side. Hook the toes, inner right leg, and try to keep your right toes pointing up towards the sky as you move the knee to the right into a spinal twist. Left arm reaches out to the side. Attempt to drag that heel towards the outer right side of the mat. Slide the inner edge of the foot forward. This is pretty intense work for the deep external hip muscles. If you want it to be again, you could just hang out and breathe. And come back to center. Push into your left foot, shift your hips slightly to the right, and bring both legs into the chest. With one hand on either knee, make small circles to the right, massage your tailbone and your lower back, making your way up towards the back ribs and the backs of the shoulders. Rotate left. Settle in center, stretch your right arm up overhead, rock over onto your right side, press into your left hand, turn to face forward. Bring the soles of your feet together, Baddha Konasana style. Take an inhale and stretch your arms up overhead. Anchor the sitting bones down, lift and lengthen through the side body. So since you're practicing at home, if you find it difficult to stay upright here, you could always lean up against a wall. That can be a great prop to use. So another inhale here, draw the lower belly in and up. Exhale, start to stretch forward. Press the soles of the feet towards each other, especially the outer edges, the baby toe sides. Press your knees towards the floor. Keep extending forward, forward, forward. And then lower your fingertips to the floor. Tent your fingertips. Drag the hands a little bit further forward if you can go further forward. Now, chances are your back will have rounded. Not a bad thing. It's a nice stretch for those same postural muscles around spine. But for a moment, try to release your spine down towards the earth so that it feels more like a valley. The spine dipping down towards the floor between the vertical paraspinal muscles. Now walk your way back up through center. Take another inhale, stretch your arms up overhead. Exhale, turn to face right. Take the left hand to the right knee. Use your left hand, guide the knee down towards the floor. Right hand is in behind. You can stay up onto the fingertips, a nice long spine as you inhale. Exhale and twist. So it can be a bit challenging to twist and at the same time press the knee down instead of pulling the knee up. That's because we want to use the bicep to deepen the twist rather than the spinal muscles, but engage the core muscles. Take your gaze to the left. Keep pressing that knee gently towards the floor. Keep the hand on the knee, but face forward. Take an inhale, stretch your right arm up and along the plane of the cheek. Now use the outer hip muscles to pull the knee down towards the floor. If you do that, then you'll pull the hand closer to the floor. You might find a stretch through the outer left shoulder, and the right fingertips reach towards the side wall. So again, this looks like a really easy posture if you're just hanging out here, but if you're working the pose in that way, it's a lot more difficult. Again, difficult isn't always better. So we'll inhale back up to center, stretch the arms up overhead again. Exhale and turn to face left, tent your right fingertips behind you. Use your right hand, press the knee down towards the floor. Inhale, lift and lengthen. The lower belly draws in and up. Keep pushing the knee down, not pulling up against it. Exhale and rotate to your left. Bring your gaze to the right. Keep pressing the knee gently down, drawing the lower belly in and up to support the lower back. And keep the hand on the knee, face forward. Inhale, stretch your left arm up and along the plane of the cheek. Then using the external hip muscles to pull the knee down towards the floor. This should tug on the outer right side of the arm. Left fingertips reach towards the opposite side wall. And inhale back up through center. Return to neutral, plant your hands behind you, press the heel of the hands into the floor as you shift your weight into your hands, roll the shoulders down and lift the heart center. Face forward, plant the feet, have your feet at least hip width distance apart, drop the knees out over to the right. Press your left knee towards the floor. Inhale back up through center, exhale, drop your knees to the left. Press the right knee towards the floor. Inhale back to center. Exhale to the right, a little windshield wiper action with the legs. Inhale back to center and exhale over to the left. And back to neutral. Swing your legs over to the side, come onto the hands and the knees. Spread out your fingers, hook your fingerprints into the floor, a little suction cup with the hands. Move through cat-cow. Inhale, arching the back. Exhale as you round, pull the belly in, scoop your tailbone under. Inhale, arching, lift the sitting bones. Exhale, round, pull the belly in. Inhale, arching, sitting bones lift. Exhale, round, chin to the chest. Once more, inhale. And exhale, slide back into a child's pose as far as you can go, hips towards the heels. Walk your fingertips forward, pop up onto the fingertips. Ears move towards the biceps, crown of the head towards the thumbs, so not really forehead to the mat here. And as much as you inch the fingertips forward, keep letting the hips hang back. See if you can feel a lengthening through the side body. Shift your weight forward again, back to hands and knees. With an inhale, lift your sitting bones. Exhale, round, pull the belly in and hover your knees above the floor. See if you can feel your core engage. And to really fire that up, attempt to pull the knees towards the hands and drag the hands towards the knees. Again, nothing is moving when you do that, but you should definitely feel a difference in the abdominals. One more inhale. Move to half downward facing dog, knees bent, slide your hips back to hover above the heels. See if you can engage that same core and upper thigh action, attempting to pull the knees towards the chest, pull the feet towards the hands, drag the hands towards the feet. And finally, downward facing dog, which should feel great at this point. Pedal out the heels, bend one knee and then the other. And your full downward facing dog. Heels hide behind the toes. And we'll engage the same outer hip muscles with the heels sinking down towards the mat. Even if the heels don't reach the floor, you can still do this little cue. Attempt to drag the heels towards the outer sides of the mat and see if you can feel the external hip muscles working. So that musculature that surrounds the outer hips. Press your thighs back so legs nice and straight. Lift your kneecaps up towards the pelvis, engaging the quads, not locking the knees. And then walk your hands to your feet, come to the back of the mat. Take both hands over towards the right leg, draw your forehead towards your shin. Press your heels into the floor and spread the weight evenly from heels to toes. Now attempt to lift the sitting bones, those bony protuberances deep in the glutes, lift them up towards the ceiling. Feel a deeper stretch through the muscles that run the backs of the legs. And left hand stays where it is. With an inhale, reach your right arm up. Don't worry about dropping that right arm back. Focus more on drawing the chest through the gate of the arms and squeezing your right shoulder blade towards the spine. So focusing on the part of the limbs closest to the spine. And lower your right hand down. Take both hands over to the left leg, both legs straight, forehead towards the shin. Bend your right knee, stretch your left arm up. Squeeze your left shoulder blade towards your spine, rotate to draw the chest through the gate of the arms. And lower your left hand down. Interlace the hands behind your back, lift your arms up off your back. Tuck the chin right in towards the chest. Make sure that the heels haven't crept in towards each other. You've still got outer edges of the feet parallel with the outer sides of the mat. Attempt to pull your hands apart. Notice how this changes the stretch across the front of the shoulders. And root down through the feet. Take an inhale and rise all the way up. Exhale, slide your hips forward. Lift your heart center towards the sky. Don't worry so much about arching back, but lifting up. Face forward and slide the hands down the legs. Walk your way forward to downward facing dog. Step your feet side by side. Shift the hips over to the left. Look under the right arm. So some of you know the options that you can take in this sort of sideways stretching downward facing dog. You might pop up onto the right fingertips and walk that hand closer to the upper right corner of the mat, or other variations. And swing your hips back through center, over to the right side, look left. Maybe coming up onto the left fingertips and walking that left hand further forward. And back to center. Separate your feet hip width distance, rise up high onto the balls of the feet, look forward, step to the top of the mat, lift halfway up once you get there, and fold over the legs. We'll bend the knees, take an inhale, stretch the arms up overhead, come to Utkatasana. You can toe heel your feet side by side. Draw the lower belly in, deepen the bend in the knees. Whatever you need to do to not feel this in your lower back, do that. It might mean leaning forward. It might mean lowering the arms a touch. It might mean pulling the hips firmly forward. Whatever you need to do. Focus on quad strength, low back lengthening. Draw the navel towards the spine. Take an inhale. Exhale, deepen the bend in the knees yet. Adjust if you need to feel nothing in the lower back. Pull the lower belly in. Hold for 3. And root down through the feet. Take an inhale, rise all the way up. Right hand takes your left wrist, hinge over to the right side, press your hips to the left. And then not only pushing them left, but pulling them forward. Fan open your left rib cage as you breathe into the left side body. Inhale back up through center, change hands, exhale, hinge left. Slide your hips to the right. Draw them also forward. Breathe into the right rib cage. Inhale back up to center again. Exhale and fold forward. Slide your hips back, half sun salutations. Take an inhale, lift halfway up. Exhale, a deeper forward fold. Reach to the side, rise all the way up, and then interlace your hands behind your head. Exhale, hinge to the right. Press the back of the head into your hands so you're not feeling strain on the neck, rather strengthening the neck muscles. Inhale, center. Exhale, hinge left. Inhale, center. Draw your elbows towards each other. Tuck the chin to the chest. Exhale and fold over the legs. Lower the hands down. Inhale, lift halfway up, lengthen. Exhale, again, fold. Reach to the side, rise all the way up. Inhale. Interlace the fingers except for the index. Press the palms together. Exhale, hinge right. Inhale, center. Exhale, hinge left. Inhale, center. Exhale and fold. So adding on, separate your feet hip width distance. Inhale as you lift halfway up, lengthen the spine. Hands to the mat, exhale, step your right foot back, shimmy the toes back. Take your right knee to the floor. You want to have the fingertips on the floor. Walk them a little bit further forward and lean the upper body forward. So you're not rising the torso upwards. You're not arching through the lower back. Maintain a plank-like position from the crown of the head to the tailbone as you draw the lower belly in. Allow the left knee to slide forward in front of the ankle. No harm will be done, hanging out here for a few breaths. Unless, of course, if you're feeling anything in the knee, then you always adjust if that's the case. Now, if you're not feeling a stretch, top of the right thigh, slide the right foot further back. Press back through the right heel, even though the knee is on the mat, and keep letting your left knee slide forward. You might come up onto the fingertips. Lower belly drawing in and up. Try to visualize that plank-like position with your back. Then slide the hips back towards the right heel. Lift your left toes up. So the hands will come with you in order to comfortably fold forward over the left leg. Slide the left foot, inner edge of the foot forward as you press forward with the mound of the big toe. And then walk the right hand forward. So it gives you a little bit more balance. You're up on the fingertips. You might take the left hand in a bit closer, but walk the right hand further forward. Keep sliding your hips back and leaning the torso forward, crown of the head towards the top of the foot. Ardha Hanumanasana. Now walk the hands forward again. Plant your left foot, rise up onto the fingertips. Take both hands onto the front knee, slide the knee forward, but keep leaning forward, plank-like position with the spine. Press back through the ball of the right foot. Left knee forward, right heel pressing back. Take both hands to the inside of that front foot. Slide the hips back again towards your right heel. Lift your left toes up, that same sort of position. But this time, rotate your left foot over to the left. So left toes point towards the side wall. Drive forward with your left heel. Walk the right fingertips forward once again. Slide your hips back. Walk your right hand back in. Frame the foot with your hands as you walk your way forward. Float the right knee up. Take both hands to the left knee. Lean forward with the upper body. Press back with the right heel. Then bring the hands to your hips and bend into the right knee as you lift your torso up. Use the fingertips to lift your front hip bones up towards your lower ribs, kind of looking for 2 90-degree angles with the legs. With your right hand, draw your outer right hip forward. Keep scooping the tailbone under, and then press the right heel back. Looking for a stretch, top of the right thigh. Those are the hip flexors. Now you don't want to lose that lengthening through the lower back. So keep using middle fingers, lift the front hip bones up, hold and breathe. Outer right hip forward, outer left hip back. Fold forward over the front leg, lower your hands to the mat, step your right foot in a touch until you can spin your heel to the floor and fold over the front leg, crown of the head towards the top of the foot. Don't just sink into your left ankle here. Feel the difference between pushing the mound of the left big toe into the floor and actively sliding your outer left hip back. Now walk the right fingertips forward, following through with the same theme. You could take a block under the right hand or bend into the front knee if you need to get the fingertips on the floor. Bring your left hand to your low back, slide the tailbone towards the back heel. Reach the crown of the head away from the tailbone. Inhale and exhale, start to rotate to your left. Keep driving your left heel into the floor and the inner edge of your left foot. Now squeeze the inner thigh muscles towards each other. Really activate those adductor muscles. Doing that also brings a bit more of a stretch to your outer left hip. And lower your left hand down. Step to the top of the mat and fold. Take opposite hand to elbow and see if you happen to feel any difference between the two sides. Bring your hands to your low back. Root down through the feet. Take an inhale, rise all the way up. Exhale, slide your hips forward. And return to neutral. Inhale, reach your arms up overhead. Take your gaze to the thumbs, a baby back bend. Hands slide down through the heart center. Exhale and fold. Step your left foot back. Shimmy the toes back so you've got a nice wide stance, and then drop your knee to the mat. You could pad up the mat or the pad up beneath your left knee if you need to. Then lean the torso forward. Allow the knee to slide in front of the heel. You might walk the fingertips forward, whichever is more comfortable, or come up onto a block. Press into the ball of your left foot. So it's like you're attempting to drag your left knee back while the right knee drags forward. Lower belly in and up. Hold and breathe. Now walk your way back. Slide the hips back towards your left heel. Lift the right toes up. Fold forward over the front leg. Walk your left hand further forward. If you need to take the right hand in closer for support, that's really useful. You could do that. Keep dragging the left hand forward, reaching the crown of the head towards the top of the foot and gliding the hips back. And plant the foot, walk forward again with the hands. Draw the lower belly in and up. Take both hands to the knee, slide the knee forward, but maintain a plank type of position with the spine. Press through the ball of the left foot. Now you might align the outer edge of your right foot with the mat, but not at the expense of your right hip swinging out to the side. Keep dropping the right sitting bone down towards that front heel. And take both hands to the inside of your front foot. Slide the hips back again, drive the heel forward, and rotate the right foot, toes to the right. Walk the left hand further forward. And point the toes to the ceiling, frame the foot with your hands, shift the weight forward into the front foot. Hover the left knee above the mat, take the hands to the front knee. Pull the belly into the spine, use your core. Plank-like position as you straighten out your left leg, press through the heel, keep leaning forward to begin. Left heel presses back, right knee glides forward, lower belly in. Take the hands now to the hips and rise up by bending the left knee, driving in through the front heel. Create two right angle positions with the legs. Use the hands to lift your hip bones up, tuck the tailbone under. Use your left hand, guide the outer left hip forward. And then slowly straighten out your left leg until you feel a stretch in through the top of the left thigh hip flexor. Hold and breathe. And lower your hands to the floor. Step your left foot in about half a foot. Spin your left heel to the mat. Pivot the left toes slightly to the left. Walk your left fingertips forward, either taking a block under the hand or bending your right knee. Take the right hand to the low back. Reach the crown of the head away from the tailbone. Inhale, and as you exhale, start to pivot to your right. Squeeze the inner thighs towards each other. Really root down through the left heel. Attempt to drag that heel towards the back of the mat. Hold and breathe. So a fairly deep stretch, muscles of the outer right hip, and also a good challenge for your balance, just staying in this pose. And come back to center. Bend into the front knee, step forward, and fold. Hands come to the low back, ground down through the feet with an inhale, rise all the way up. Exhale, slide your hips forward, a baby back bend. Return to neutral. Arms up overhead, inhale. Hands down through the heart center, exhale and fold. Lift halfway up, breathe in. Step back, downward facing dog. Take a nice big step back and separate your feet mat width distance apart. Slide the heels right to the outer edges of the mat. Attempt to drag the feet back on your mat. Attempt to slide the hands forward. Feel the torso moving towards the space between the legs. Attempt to drag the heels towards the outer edges of the mat also. Linking that same theme, working the musculature of the outer hips. Lower your knees to the mat. Pivot to face the long edge of your mat. Take a wide space between the knees and bring your big toes to touch. So I've got the big toes touching in behind me, as wide of a space as I can manage between the knees. Big toes touch, shift the weight back towards your heels and start to walk the hands forward. Maybe lower down onto the forearms. Now, if this is not bringing you a stretch that you may be looking for, then you can take the feet out to the sides, point them towards the side walls, soften the inner thighs towards the earth, soften the inner groins towards the earth and back towards the space between the heels. And then you may need to shift a little just to get into those particular areas of tightness. If your feet are pointing out to the sides, shift the weight forward into the forearms. Take your big toes to touch again. And we'll just bring our last 3 breaths into this pose. Now walk the hands in towards you. Push into your hands, walk the knees in towards each other. Swing the legs over to the right. Bring them straight out in front. Baddha Konasana style, but an asymmetrical variation. So take your left toes to the right heel. You've kind of slid the right heel slightly forward. Left toes, right heel, lean forward. But again, imagine drawing the spine forward towards your heart center more so than rounding out the spine. Focus on what's happening in the hips. You could bring the elbows to the inner thighs. If the elbows come to the inner thighs, sort of slide the inner thigh muscles in the direction of your knees. If the elbows come to the knees, use the weight of the arms to gently guide the knees closer to the floor. So one is no better than the other, just different. And maybe you try out them both. And come back up to center to change sides. Opposite heel, ball of the foot. Release the knees towards the mat. You may find that it's enough to be just upright, or maybe again you lean up against a wall for that additional support for your spine. And then instead of relying solely on the arms to guide the knees towards the floor, try to see which muscles you need to pull the knees towards the earth with the hips. So draw the knees towards the floor without using the assistance of the arms, and notice the difference. And bring the soles of the feet together evenly. Seal the outer edges of your feet together and release the knees towards the floor. If you lean forward, try to lean forward from the heart center. Allow the head to hang just slightly back. So the muscles of the face relax. The gaze softens. The breath deepens. And come back up to center. Use your hands, guide the knees together. Separate your feet, hip width distance apart. Hands come in behind you. Drop the knees out over to the right. Release your left knee towards the floor. Inhale back to center. Drop the knees out over to the left. Right knee towards the floor. And back to center. Come to the top of your mat. Have your yoga block available if you've got one. Arms are alongside of the body. Curl your way down one vertebra at a time. You can send the tailbone forward in the direction of the heels so you feel your lower back releasing towards the mat. And once you come all the way down, take your block, slide it under your tailbone. I'll show you that beautiful hip flexor stretch. You just walk the right foot forward on the block. So it's important that you don't feel, again, compression or pinching in your lower back. If you want a more relaxed variation, then you just slide the block out to the side and be lying down on the mat without the block. Or drop your left knee out to the side. And imagine that the whole sole of your left foot is pressing against the inner right thigh. So I haven't just dropped my knee out to the side and I'm kind of, nothing special is happening with the foot. You want to be right on that knife outer edge of the foot in order to get the hip stretch that looks like tree pose. Press forward with the mound of the big toe on the right side. Keep softening the rib cage down towards the floor. Breathe into the top of the right thigh, which did a lot of work today. Both strengthening and stretching the upper thigh muscles. And point the knee back up to the ceiling. Walk the right foot in, right knee bent. Extend your left leg out long on the floor. Keep the toes pointing up towards the sky and the mound of the left toe sliding forward. Drop the right knee out to the side. Come right onto that outer edge of the foot. Maybe you use the hands to keep the pelvis kind of even. More weight guiding the back of the left hip down towards the floor to counter the right knee moving closer to the mat. Broaden across the pelvis. Soften the front ribs down. And breathe. And lift the knee back up. Walk your left foot in. Lift the hips up, slide the block out to the side. Separate your feet at least hip width distance apart. Stretch the arms out to the sides. Drop your knees out over to the right and release your left knee towards the floor. Soften and relax that left rib cage. So again, not overarching in through the lower back. Bring your legs back up to center. Drop them out over to your left. Release the right knee towards the floor. And bring your legs back up to center. Draw the thighs in towards your chest. Take one hand on either knee and rock from side to side. Massage your lower back, your back ribs, and the backs of the shoulders. So you can take a nice wide rocking from side to side. Come to neutral, bring the knees together, wrap your arms around your legs, give yourself a squeeze. Send the tailbone forward, lengthen all of the paraspinal muscles that run vertically along the spinal column. Relaxing the lower back more and more as you press your spine downwards into the earth. And lower your feet to the floor. Walk the feet forward. Separate the feet nice and wide apart. Drop your feet out to the sides away from each other. Bring the arms alongside of the body. Rotate your palms towards the sky. Tuck your shoulder blades down your back. Draw the skin of the scalp towards the shoulder blades. Close the eyes. Feel that whole front side of the body just softening down towards the earth. The face recedes. The eyes sink deep into their sockets. Teeth are unclenched. Tongue rests in behind the lower teeth. Feel the front ribs release down and the back ribs move towards the earth. Soften the natural curve of the lower back. Relax the outer hip muscles, the gluteus medius. Soften and relax the tops of the thighs, the hip flexors, quadriceps, psoas. Soften the knees, relax the shins, relax the ankles. Smoothen out the skin on the soles of the feet. Soften and relax all 10 toes. Feel, if you can, the breath breathing the body. The natural effect of your breath on the spine. Then soften and relax that thinking mind as you surrender fully and completely to Shavasana. 12 breaths. Bring your awareness back to your breath and start to breathe more deeply. Awaken the body, wiggle the fingers and the toes. Rotate the wrists and ankles a couple of times in both directions. Inhale through the nose, extend the arms overhead, lengthen the spine, point the toes. And through the mouth, exhale. Bring the knees to the chest. Rock and roll forward and back and side to side. And find your way back to a seated cross-legged position with the eyes closed, palms of the hands together at the heart center. We'll seal our practice with the sound of Om. Take a conscious breath in. Om. Namaste. Thanks for coming. Thanks for bringing your hips